Alright, hello again, this is Jeff Scott, and I have been talking to you about HTML5 and CSS3, courtesy of our textbook, which is Murox HTML5 and CSS3 3rd edition. We're now on Chapter 3, which is how to use HTML to structure a web page. And as we start to take a look through here, we want to code a properly structured HTML page using the HTML5 semantic elements. Semantic meaning that they have meaning, for lack of better words, and any of the other elements that are presented in the chapter. Given the HTML for a web page, code a relative URL that refers to any file in the folder structure for the website. Describe the use of the title and meta elements of the head section of an HTML element. Distinguish between a block element and an inline element. Describe the use of the H1, H2, H3, and P block elements. Describe the use of the BR, I, B, SUP, EM, Q, and strong inline elements. Describe the use of character entities such as ampersand NBSP and ampersand copy. Describe the use of ID, class, and title. Describe the use of div and span elements in the HTML for a modern website. Describe the use of the major HTML5 semantic elements, those being header, main, section, article, nav, aside, footer, and figure. Distinguish between an absolute URL and a relative URL. Distinguish between the use of the A element and the image element. Describe the accessibility guidelines for A or anchor elements and image elements. And describe the two types of lists that you can create with HTML. Alright, a browser that shows the title in the Favicon. Well, in your head section, among other things, you typically have a link. You can have a link to a spreadsheet, but this is a link to a Favicon. That Favicon right there, favicon.ico, is this right here. Maybe you've gone out to a website for a company and they have a little thing in there in the upper left-hand corner of the title bar that looks like the company's logo or something else. Sometimes people even have their own picture type of thing in there as a favicon. This is in the head section along with the title. The title, of course, is what appears in here. Now this title is actually San Joaquin Valley Town Hall with a pipe sign, speakers, and luncheons. But it doesn't show all of it, so you can only see the San Joaquin Valley town and the pipe sign. A couple guidelines that are given here as far as setting up your title. Always code a title tag in the head section. The title should accurately describe the page's content. The title should be interesting enough to entice the reader to click on it. The title should be unique for each page of the website, and the title should be limited to 65 or less characters. There's an Internet Explorer note down on the bottom of page 87, which says a favicon isn't displayed in older versions of IE if the page is served from your local file system. It is only displayed if the page is served from the web server. Alright, so again, the title element specifies the text displayed in the browser's tab. It's also the name when you try to bookmark something. It's the name of a favorite or a bookmark for the page. The favicon is a custom icon typically named favicon, and it must have an extension of .ico or it won't work correctly with Internet Explorer. To specify a favicon for a page, you use a link tag, just like the one that we just looked at. Alright, to create an ICO file, you can use an icon editor that converts an image to an ICO file. Normally they're either 16 by 16 or 20 by 20 as far as their size goes. Alright, a head section that includes metadata. You can see we have 3 tags in here that say meta on them. Alright, So if we look here, the first one says char set. Basically, it's a required tag for HTML5 that specifies the type of character encoding that's going to be used. UTF-8, which I believe is Uniform Translation Format 8-bit character code, is what's commonly used for the World Wide Web. The name that you see right there specifies the type of metadata being added to the document. Values like descriptions and keywords can be used to specify content that some search engines will look through as they're spidering your site. Content itself specifies the value for the item specified by the name attribute. So the meta element provides information about the HTML document called metadata. Meta meaning data about. So metadata is data about the data. The char set metadata is required for HTML5 validation. All or part of the description metadata may be displayed in the search results of some search engines. Although the keyword metadata has been de-emphasized by some search engines, most people still include it. All right. Couple SEO guidelines here for metadata. Code the description metadata for each page of your website, which should summarize the page contents. And code the keyword metadata for each page of the website. Should consist of no more than 10 keywords or phrases and should be unique for each page. All right, block elements for headings and paragraphs. Let's very quickly discuss the differences between a block element and an inline element. A block element, such as any of the ones that you see right there, H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, and H6, those are the level H1, which is the highest or the biggest, through level H6, which is the smallest heading levels, and P, which is a paragraph tag. Those tags, and those aren't the only ones, but those tags are block elements. What that means is they will automatically have a blank line before them and a blank line after them. So block elements are the main building blocks of a website and can contain other elements. Sorry. All right, you may or may not have heard me mention this before, but I am taping the majority of these in the basement of my house, so when the phone rings, the phone rings. So let's look at where we just were. And in particular, I want to grab all of these tags that are shown here. I should be able to remember that, H1 through H6 and a P tag. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to create my own new HTML file. There's my doc type, HTML tag, and I should say what, lang equals en for the language of being English. We're learning about all these meta tags in here, so let me go back to here and back up just a bit. And I'll grab these meta tags that are shown here. Alright, now my site, the few examples that I make here, they're not going to be regarding San Joaquin stuff, but I'm just going to put this in there anyway. Remember, that first one says that I'm using an 8-bit character code. All right, the next one has got a description and content. I'm just going to leave it blank. All right, but I'm just putting it in there for completeness. And the keywords, content, equal, I'm going to leave that blank as well. All right, so they are in there, in other words. Okay, I'm not going to worry about a favicon right now. So I'm just going to leave that out, and I'm going to come in here and next I want my title tag. And we'll call this HTML5 tag page. Now if I want, I can put blank lines in here if it makes it easier for you to kind of differentiate where something starts and something ends. Alright, my body tag and my ending HTML tag. Now, I'm going to put here an H1 tag that says this is an H1 tag. That's all it's going to say. Alright, and then I'm going to copy that line 6 times. And as you'd probably guess, I'm going to change each one of these so it's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You have to have the same number at the end that you have at the beginning. So 6, don't know how I did that, but I did. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and the 1 is fine. Okay? And then I'm going to come in here and say P, this is a paragraph. Okay, not a really grand and glorious type of thing here, but it'll work just fine. So I'm on my desktop, and I'm just going to call this index.html. And let's run it. Well, I like to run mine in Chrome. And you see that the H1, whoops, no, let me stop that. I don't want them all to say this is an H1 tag. That's silly. Should have said 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Alright. And let's run it again. So you see that there's a blank line before each tag and a blank line after each tag. These are all block level tags, so they stand on their own. They are a unit. In addition, notice how the H1, when the number goes up from H1 to H6, the font size goes down. And it looks like it's around the H4 tag size, is about the same size as our paragraph text. All right. You may or may not be able to tell, but by default, these are all bolded. You can turn that off if you want, but H1 through H6 tags are all bolded. All right, so you've seen those. Let's move onward and upward. So the author gives you some SEO guidelines here for metadata. I think we talked about those. So those are the tags. Here are some examples that they use in the book. Okay. So you can see the H1 tag and the H2 tags. You can also see that there's a blank line after each of those tags and a blank line before each one of those tags. Guidelines for headings and paragraphs. Typically, you should only have one H1 tag on each page. And that, if nothing else, is going to tell what the page is about. In fact, many developers don't even put an H1 tag on their page. All right. Don't use heading levels as a way to size text. Rather, use CSS to size headings. I'd agree with that. All right, more stuff. Pre, block quote, and address. All right, well, let's take a look at those. I'm just going to keep working on the same one here. So, how about a pre-tag? I'm going to put in here, I'm going to put a pre-tag in, and I'm going to put hello there. I'm going to hit enter, and I'm going to say my name is, and I'm going to hit enter again, Jeff Scott. And I'm going to stop my tag. All right, not like this is very big. Now, but it does show an important point. So if you look here, hopefully that's pretty obvious what's going on. Hello there, my name is Jeff Scott. All right, so I've got the hello there, but then it literally wanted to put in all of those blank spaces that are in there. So what if I just come back and I change this? I say hello there, I hit enter, and I get to, whoops, I want to get right to the beginning of the line. And now I put my name is, and when I get to the end there, I hit, and I want to be at the beginning of the next line. All right, so it looks a little funky on there, but let's see how that looks. All right, so notice what happened. The pre-tag means pre-formatted, so basically keep the formatting that I have. Now, if I took this same stuff, hello there, my name is Jeff Scott, and did it just like that, but instead of putting it in between pre-tags, let's put that in between paragraph tags. All right, so it's the exact same thing, but let's see how it looks, how different it looks. Okay? So the pre-tag says keep the formatting that you've added, whereas the paragraph tag said take those blank lines that we put in, okay, and treat them as though they are just plain white space, like a single character. What if I want those lines to be in there? And what if I want to use a paragraph tag? I want to do this, but I want it to look pretty much like the other one. Well, first of all, let's do this. Let's give us some room here. Okay, I'm just spacing things out a little bit. It's not going to look any different on the screen. All right, there's the paragraph that we just did. So I'm going to copy that paragraph that we just put in here. And what I'm about to show you, I'll make it work, but it's not really the way you should do things, and we'll talk about that in just a second. So I'm going to put hello there, and then I'm going to put a line break, a BR tag. My name is, and another BR tag. All right? My goal is to make this look the way that this pre-tag looked up here. So let's see if indeed it worked. Okay, there that is, and there that is. The pre-tag used a different font style and a different font size, but the actual output was exactly the same. All right. Onward and upward. There's a block quote and an address, so let's put those in there. In fact, as I finish a section, I'm going to comment stuff out here. So that was the H1 and the paragraph. All right, and now I just did the pre-tag, and I put in an extra paragraph tag so you could see what it looked like. All right, let's put a block quote in here. I want to see how, I'm going to actually go online for this and see HTML block quote tag. I'll grab one of their examples. Block quote is the section that's quoted from another source, is what it says here. So I'm going to hit enter a few times here. Let's put that in right there. All right, so there's the beginning of the block quote. There's the citation, so it says it's coming from there. 50 years WWF, which is the Worldwide Wildlife Federation, I believe. Okay, so you can see what's in there. All right, now I'm going to grab this and put it in. All right, you may or may not be able to tell, but it gave it some margin here and here. Okay, is that a big thing? No, but I'm trying to run over the major stuff here with you. The other one is the address tag. So take this example that we have here and comment it out. And we will put in here an address tag. And let's put the address for Blackhawk in here. 6004 South County Road G, Janesville, Wisconsin, 53546. In fact, we'll even, there's the end of our address tag, and let's put in the name of the school. Blackhawk Technical College. Okay, I'm saving that. Now I'm going to run this. So what you get in address tags like this, since I didn't put line breaks in, basically all it did was it took it and it italicized it. So again, if I want this to run over several lines, I just would put BR tags at the end. And I think those are the only two I need. And there you go. All right. So here are some examples of block elements as shown in your book. I've been giving you my own examples. Blocks, so that's how they appear in the browser. Okay. Elements for formatting text. These elements that you see right here, they're not block elements. They're referred to as inline elements. In other words, they appear typically either between words or within a word or at whatever. All right. So the I stands for italicized, the B for bold, the sub for subscript, the sup for superscript, and the BR for line break. You've already seen the BR, but let's look at the other four. Put in a paragraph. In this sentence, the word hamburger is italicized. In this sentence, the word hamburger is bolded. All right, let's just stop right there and let's take a look at what we've got. In this sentence, the word hamburger, and you can see it's italicized. In this sentence, the word, and again, you can see the word hamburger is bolded. Now, those are considered the old school way of doing things. What you really should do, rather than using the B tag and the, I'm going to put even an extra line break in here. Rather today than using the I tag and the B tag, you should be using EM, which stands for emphasis. All right? Because it's better suited for screen readers. This, unfortunately, you have to type in more, but it's strong. All right? So let's take a look, and those two sentences should virtually look identical. All right? But I and B are old school. M and strong are new school. That's the way that you should be doing it. What was the other one that was on here? Soup, sub, and soup. So I'm going to comment these out. And I'm going to say here a paragraph tag, the value of 3 soup 2 is 9. And I want the in soup there. Let's look at that. The value of 3 squared is 9. Pretty obvious what's going on there. Nothing really new. All right. Now, when I say nothing new, I mean nothing you haven't probably written yourself in some way or other before. All right. The other one is a subscript. So it goes on the bottom instead of on the top. Trying to think of right now if something would be a good example for a subscript, and nothing's coming to mind, so I'm going to steal one. Sub. Oh, this contains a subscript. That's kind of a crummy example, but I'll use their example here anyway. So this text contains subscript text. So let's look at how the word subscript looks in here. And you notice it's smaller and it's pushed down. So superscript up, subscript down. Okay? Again, I'm just continuing to run through examples, and as I get done, I'm just taking the code that I'm using and I'm just commenting it out so I can move down and down and down. Now, I'm not going to go through each one of these. There's just too many examples. So let's talk about them. The ABBR tag is for an abbreviation. The cite tag is for a citation. The code tag is if you want to put computer code in. All right. DFN, I believe, is for a definition tag. M, I already mentioned to you, for emphasis. KBD is for keyboard. Q is for quotations. SAMP is for a sample. Strong is what's replacing the B tag. And var is used for computer variables. So there are examples of these here, several of them. So you can see M, strong, KBD, sub, and Q. And there are the examples. So remember that an inline element is coded within a block element. It doesn't begin on a new line. The formatting elements should be used when no special meaning is applied. The content elements are used to convey meaning. So again, block elements are going to have a line before them and a line after them. All right, character entities. There are a lot of these, but let's just look at a couple of them that are here. All right, let's say that what I want to actually write down in a paragraph here is in HTML all tags begin with a less than sign and end with a greater than. And we'll even put the word sign after them. Sign. All right, so you see what that looks like. Let's see what it looks like when we run it. Well, I'm surprised. It worked just fine. All right. So all tags begin with a less than sign and end with a greater than sign. The way you actually should write those is instead of like this, you should be using what are called the character entities. They start with an ampersand, and less than sign is LT with a semicolon on the end, which means less than. And in the same way, ampersand GT means greater than. All right. He went to Barnes and, I don't want to use the word and, my keyboard is stuck here. And Nobles. And I spelled Barnes wrong. it was copyrighted 2016. So let's take a look at all that we just put in there. All right. Oops. Some of it looks good and some of it does not. I'm telling you that right now. All right. So he went to Barnes & Noble's. It was copyright 3/2016. So how can we fix this so it looks better? First of all, in HTML, all of them begin with a less than and end with a greater than. That's cool. We'll put this in a paragraph too. But to say he went to Barnes & Noble's, that should say this. That's the character entity for an ampersand. And I guess I got that 3 there because I put a 3 there. It was copyrighted ampersand copy 2016. Now let's run this again and take a look at our output now. All tags begin with a less than and with a greater than. He went to Barnes & Noble's, was copyrighted. There's the copyright symbol. So these are some of the character entities that are shown on the top of page 97. Character entities are used to display special characters in an HTML document. There are very many more, a lot more, character entities than what are shown right there. And they give you a URL at the bottom of the slide, but just so you know, I don't know if it's shown on here or not. Nope. And there's some examples, which are fine. But I do want to mention that, again, W3 Schools has a thing, so I'll say type in here, HTML character entities. Entities. So this is the reference chart that I think that's the one that's referenced in your book. All right, it's nice because it's big and it's, you know, it's got everything in it. Here's the same thing in W3 Schools. All right. As always, just choose whatever one, work with whatever one makes the most sense to you. That's what you should be doing anyway. All right. Core HTML attributes: ID, class, title, and lang. All right. Well, I've already mentioned to you the title. I've already mentioned to you the lang. So you've seen those already. So let's come down to here. And let's assume, for whatever reason, let's assume that there are going to be certain things on this page that we want to appear in red. All right, so I wish this paragraph was in bold red text. Well, it won't be right now, but we're going to change it so it will be in just a minute. All right. And what else do we have? What did we do up here? We did that address tag. Okay. And then I'm going to say here, same with the address below. Okay. So I'm going to grab that address that we put in there before and I'm going to copy it in. All right. So you see that. And you see that when I run this, lo and behold, not red. Wish this paragraph was in bold red text. Same with the address below. Well, I want both of those to be bold and red. All right. So in order to do that, I have to add some CSS, which stands for Cascading Style Sheets. And all I'm going to say here is class. All right. You put a dot there. And what do I want? I want red text. So I'm going to call it red text. And I'll say here, color red. What that means is anything to which I assign a class of red text will now have a red color font. So I have to save this file, and I'm going to just call it styles.css. All right, and that just is an anomaly that's red. Notice if I make it blue, it doesn't change to blue. Okay, I just wanted you to see that. So, oops. So red text. That still won't do anything for us. No, I don't want red. Okay, until I come back here and do two things. First, I have to come in here and in my head element, I've got to add the CSS file. Link. I want to link to, well, the relationship is it's a style sheet. And it's located, it's href, its hypertext reference is at styles.css. All right, and that's fine. Now I have to, I'm making that available, but now I've got to come down to my stuff down here, and for this paragraph, I have to change it and have it say class equals, and then in single or double quotes, and double are usually used, red text. Well, let's see what that did. All right, there it is. Oh, I didn't bold it, and I said I was going to bold it. So color red, font, weight, bold. All right, so will this now be bolded? There you go. And I didn't apply it yet to the other one, so I've got to do the same thing. I've got to say class equal red text, and I can do it here in my address tag. All right, and now there we go. When you set up a class like this, you can use it for anything and everything that's on a page. You can use it multiple times. Sometimes, though, you only want something that you can use once. What we're going to get into in just a bit is that on each page, you oftentimes have a footer. And this is the footer for my document. Again, ampersand copy, which we looked at before. 2016 JPS, that's me, Inc. All right, so I will put that into a paragraph because that would actually be the way I would probably want to put it in there. All right, so I've got all that stuff in there. I don't care anymore about this first example, so I'm going to comment that one out. All right, so I've got a paragraph, and the paragraph says this is the footer of my document, and a copyright, and I need a semicolon on the end of that. 2016 JPS Inc. So what does that look like when I run it? Well, there it is. This is the footer of my document, JPS Inc. So you can see all that. All right. Well, footers usually footers are small, and quite often they're centered on the page. So there's only one footer, so I'm going to use what's called an ID, and I put a pound sign for that. And I'm going to put here footer text. And I'm going to say font size, and I'm going to say small, and text align center. All right, so let me refresh and see if the size gets smaller and if it's centered now. And not a doggone thing happened. Font size small, text align center. That's correct. Footer, oh, I didn't, there's no ending paragraph tag. There we go. So let's try that one more time. Come on. This is the footer of my document. Oh, I didn't apply the class, or the ID rather. ID equals footer text. Okay, so you saw what happens when I do it wrong. And there it is. It's smaller and it's now centered. All right. Here's some examples of that, but again, there's not any more than what I've already shown you. They give you another accessibility guideline here. Always code the laying attribute to identify the language for the page. Yes, it's considered a good idea. All right, so that's the first half of the chapter. And that gets us to page 100. And on page 100, they start to talk about the things that are specific to HTML5, and in particular, these sections that you see right here. All right, I just want to say one thing. First, let me check my time. I'm at 40 minutes, so I think I'm going to stop right here, and I'm going to make this a two-part presentation.